Every Sunday, living rooms across America transform into emotional war zones. Grown adults scream at strangers on screens. Relationships hang on the outcome of games played by people they'll never meet. Billions of dollars, countless hours, endless emotional energy, all poured into watching other people compete. And then there's you. You watch all of this and feel nothing. Not anger, not excitement, not even curiosity, just a genuine, almost uncomfortable indifference. Here's what neuroscience reveals. Your brain might be fundamentally wired differently. I'm ThinkWise, and what I'm about to show you will change how you understand the sports-obsessed people in your life. Not caring about sports doesn't make you boring or broken, but there is something fascinating happening in your neural circuitry that's completely different from sports fans. Let's start with why they care so much, and more importantly, why you don't. Let's start with the obvious question. Why do so many people care so much? The answer seems simple. Humans are tribal creatures. For thousands of years, being part of a group meant survival. Your tribe protected you, helped you hunt, kept you alive. Sports are basically modern tribes with better merchandise. But here's where it gets strange. When someone watches their team, their brain releases oxytocin, the same bonding hormone that makes you love your family. Their brain literally tricks them into thinking these millionaire athletes are part of their clan. But that's not the weird part. The weird part is you. People who don't obsess over sports often have what psychologists call lower tribal instincts. Your identity isn't as strongly tied to group belonging. You're more individualistic. You don't need to belong to something bigger to feel complete. A 2019 study found something fascinating. People with low sports interest showed significantly less us versus them thinking. You don't automatically hate the other team just because they're not on your side. And here's what researchers discovered that's even more bizarre. When sports fans watch their team lose, cortisol levels spike. Actual stress hormones flood their system. One study found that testosterone levels in male sports fans dropped by up to 20% after their team lost a major game. Their bodies are responding as if they personally lost the competition. Your cortisol stays flat. Your testosterone doesn't budge. It's like watching a documentary about strangers playing a game, because to your brain, that's exactly what it is. But before you think this makes you superior, wait until you hear what's happening in a sports fan's brain during a game, because what I'm about to tell you is legitimately concerning. You know that feeling right before you open a present? That electric anticipation? That's dopamine firing in your brain. Now imagine getting that hit every 30 seconds for 3 hours straight. That's what sports fans experience. Every play, every possession, constant microdoses of anticipation and reward. It's literally addictive. Studies using fMRI scans show that watching your team activates the exact same reward centers as gambling. Not similar, the same. The uncertainty is what makes it so powerful. You don't know if your team will win. That unpredictability keeps the dopamine flowing. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive reward schedule known to science, the same principle that makes slot machines so devastatingly effective. Your brain doesn't distinguish much between different sources of dopamine, it just knows it wants more. But here's where it gets darker. Sports fans develop what neurologists call anticipatory patterns. Their brain learns to release dopamine not just during the game, but before it even starts. Just seeing their team's logo or hearing the theme music triggers the response. It's classical conditioning, Pavlov's dogs but with jerseys. Now here's where your brain comes in. People who don't care about sports, their dopamine systems simply aren't triggered by vicarious competition, and this might not be a choice, it might be genetic. Research from the University of Chicago suggests that variations in dopamine receptor genes can predict how much someone cares about competitive spectator activities. Think about that. Your complete indifference to whether the Lakers win or lose might literally be written in your DNA. But there's another psychological mechanism at play that reveals something even deeper about identity itself. Sports fans experience something psychologists call BIRGing, basking in reflected glory. Watch this carefully. When their team wins, they say, "we won." When their team loses, they say, "they lost." Notice the pronoun switch? That's not an accident. That's ego protection in real time. People who don't obsess over sports are far less likely to engage in this psychological distancing. You're more consistent in your self-concept. You don't need external victories to feel successful. Your self-esteem is more stable, less dependent on things completely outside your control. Now, I'm not saying one way is better, but I am saying there are legitimate psychological differences here, and it gets even more fascinating when we talk about empathy. Here's something that sounds contradictory. Sports fans often score higher on certain empathy measures. They practice caring deeply about other people's struggles, even strangers wearing their team's jersey. So, why don't non-sports people feel that same empathy for athletes? The answer reveals something profound about how humans allocate emotional resources. Everyone has a limited capacity for caring deeply. Sports non-fans often direct that empathy toward different places: social causes, personal relationships, creative projects, intellectual challenges. A 2021 study found that people with low sports interest scored significantly higher in openness to experience and appreciation for art and beauty. They're getting their emotional highs from art, music, nature, ideas. Their brains are seeking the same things: reward, meaning, connection, transcendence. They're just finding it somewhere else. Here's something fascinating researchers noticed. Non-sports fans tend to have deeper, more intense relationships with fewer people. Sports fans tend to have broader, more numerous, but shallower connections. Neither pattern is wrong. It's just a different social strategy. One spreads emotional investment wide. The other goes deep. Think about your friendships. Are they built around shared experiences and direct interaction, or do you bond with people over shared allegiances to external things? The answer might explain more than just your sports preferences. For some people, not caring about sports is actually a defense mechanism. Maybe they were bullied in gym class. Maybe they felt excluded by sports culture. Maybe they're pushing back against aggressive competitiveness. Maybe they just never understood why grown adults scream at televisions over a ball. Your indifference might have a backstory, or maybe you just genuinely find it boring. Both are valid. But here's the part that explains why sports fans and non-sports fans sometimes can't understand each other at all. It all comes down to how you experience meaning itself. Sports fans find meaning in narrative, the underdog story, the comeback, the dynasty, the rivalry. It's compelling because it's unpredictable, real-life drama with genuine stakes. People who don't care about sports often find that randomness meaningless. They think, why would I emotionally invest in an outcome I can't control, performed by people I don't know, in a game that doesn't affect my actual life? They're not wrong, but neither are sports fans. It's just two different approaches to the human need for story and meaning. One group finds epic narrative in a championship run, the other finds it in a novel, a relationship, a creative project, a scientific discovery. Researchers call this parasocial investment versus direct engagement. Sports fans build one-sided relationships with teams and players. Non-sports people prefer investing emotional energy where there's actual reciprocity, where their care matters to the outcome, where they're participants, not spectators. Neither is superior, they're just different strategies for navigating the human experience. Psychologist Csikszentmihalyi, who studied optimal experience, found that flow states, those moments of complete absorption, can be achieved through countless activities. For some, it's watching sports. For others, it's literally anything else. And here's what's really interesting. People who don't obsess over sports often report feeling more present in their own lives. They're not spending 3 hours every Sunday experiencing someone else's struggle. They're engaged in their own. There's something quietly radical about that. But there's one final piece to this puzzle that nobody talks about, and it explains why some people can walk away from sports entirely, while others would rather miss their own wedding than miss the big game. Sports aren't just entertainment, they're ritual, and ritual is one of the most powerful psychological forces humans have. Sports fans don't just watch games, they perform elaborate rituals around them. The same seat, the same snacks, the same people, the same superstitions. They've built their weekly rhythm around game schedules. Psychologists call this temporal structuring, using external events to organize their life. For sports fans, the season provides a calendar, a framework, a sense of time moving forward with meaning. The off-season feels empty. The playoffs feel climactic. Time itself has texture. People who don't care about sports often create their own temporal structures, project deadlines, creative cycles, personal goals, seasonal activities that have nothing to do with professional athletics. You're not missing structure, you're just using a different clock. And here's the thing that makes all of this click into place. So what does all this mean? If you don't care about sports, you're not missing out, you're just wired differently. Your brain's reward system, tribal instincts, empathy allocation, all calibrated uniquely. If this made you see yourself differently, hit that like button. And if you want more insights into why you think the way you do, subscribe to Think Wise, because understanding your brain isn't just interesting, it's powerful. You're not broken, you're just playing a different game. And once you understand the rules of your own mind, you stop comparing your path to everyone else's. That's where real clarity and confidence begins. Awareness turns difference into strength.